No one in hell dared utter that name. It was not a curse, nor a legend to frighten sinful souls. It was a truth, a horror that existed simmering beneath the deepest layers, where the hellfire itself withered and turned to ice. They called it the Hell Hulk, but that was only a name born of fear. The entity had no name, or had lost it millions of lifetimes ago. The existence of the Hell Hulk was a paradox of creation. It slept at the bottom of the ninth circle of hell, where the betrayers were imprisoned. Its steady breaths were the earthquakes, its heartbeat the storms of lava. It was because of its existence that the great demon lords were forced to ally, creating a seal from their own life force, not to imprison it, but to beg it, not to wake. But that fragile balance was shattered on that fateful day by a mad war of the great demon lords vying for power. The chaotic energy from their battle was like a needle piercing an overinflated bubble. The seal broke, and the Hell Hulk awakened. Its rise was not a rebellion, but a natural disaster. It stood upright, its colossal body composed of a jet-black mineral that absorbed all light, mottled with veins glowing red like cooled magma. Its size was absurd, its head reaching up to the eighth circle of hell, while its feet still stood in the ninth. It did not roar, it only exhaled, and an entire city of demons turned to ash. The fear was more terrifying than the destruction. A primal fear, an absolute suppression of power that made the lower demons only kneel, trembling and waiting to vanish. The great demon lords, those who had just been fighting each other, now huddled in the darkest fortresses, trembling like rats before a great flood. They knew, if the Hell Hulk kept destroying all the circles of hell, it would shatter the barrier separating hell from the human world, and that would be the apocalypse for all worlds. In the most desperate moment, a message was sent, piercing through the dimensions of space, seeking someone they never thought they would have to beg. Ki, the young man carrying the bloodline of the ancient guardians, who had once been the terror of hell itself in previous wars. Now, the plea came from the enemy. Ki received the summoning not from a human prayer, but from the chaotic and desperate energy seeping from the gates of hell. He was meditating on a snow-covered mountain peak, sensing the disturbance of the universe. Kai opened his eyes. A pitch-black spatial rift, reeking of sulfur and fear, appeared before him. Not a single word, only screams, helpless pleas, and a suffocating urge. He understood that if he did not stop the entity rising below, the destruction would spread like an oil slick, and sooner or later, the human world would sink into a sea of fire. Without hesitation, Ki stood up, the sword of the light at his waist chiming a clear note. He stepped through the rift, plunging straight into the abyss. The landscape before Ki was a painting of the apocalypse. The once crimson hell sky was torn asunder, revealing an absolute black void where black lightning ceaselessly struck. Instead of agonized screams, silence reigned, a silence more dreadful than death. It was the silence of approaching nothingness. The magnificent fortresses, the colossal citadels of the demons were nothing but piles of rubble. And at the center of that destruction, the Hell Hulk was moving toward the core of hell, each of its footsteps a resounding thunderclap, shaking the entire spatial dimension. Seeing it for the first time, Ki felt his heart, the heart of a warrior who had faced countless monsters, tighten. It was not simply a giant beast. The Hell Hulk had the shape of a warrior, but every feature was distorted and magnified to the point of deformity. Its body seemed assembled from the shards of dead moons, black and rugged. It had no eyes, or rather, its entire head was a mass of dark red energy constantly fluctuating, shooting out destructive sparks. The most terrifying thing was the atmosphere around it, not just heat, but a field of fury and agony. Standing from afar, Ki felt thousands of invisible needles piercing his mind, hateful screams. Destroy, destroy everything. Ki drew Li the light. The gentle light from the blade immediately formed a protective ring, repelling the mental pressure that sought to crush him. He knew a direct attack on that thing was madness, but he had no other choice. Ki summoned his power, shot up like a silver lightning bolt, aiming straight for the junction between the body and the blazing head of the Hell Hulk. The ancestral sword, a weapon capable of cleaving souls themselves, thrust straight into a gap in the black armor. A deafening explosion rang out as the two energy sources collided. Ki felt the blade pierce the outer defense layer, but it was only a scratch on the flesh of a giant. The Hell Hulk's reaction was terrible. It did not cry out in pain, it only swung its titanic arm with a speed impossible for its size. He barely managed to withdraw his sword to block. The impact was like a mountain collapsing upon him. His entire body was hurled miles away, through dozens of layers of rock, falling into a desolate valley. Blood trickled from the corner of Key's mouth. His bones felt nearly disjointed. The light on the sword flickered as if about to go out. That was just a wave of the monster's hand. It did not stop there. The energy mass on the Hellhulk's head suddenly contracted, then exploded, firing a beam of dark red energy with horrific, destructive power, sweeping straight toward Key, who lay amid the ruins. That energy beam did not burn. It annihilated everything at the atomic level, turning earth and stone into nothingness. Key's eyes widened. He used the last of his strength to roll away, summoning a spherical barrier. The energy beam swept past, his barrier shattered like glass, but it was enough to save him from being completely erased. He panted heavily, realizing a bitter truth. His power, which was enough to make demon lords tremble, was utterly meaningless before this rage. Lying in the cold earth, Key tried to regulate his breathing. Despair washed over him. "I cannot defeat it with strength," he whispered. But then, a memory of his old master echoed back. "Kai, my child, the strongest enemy is not the one who can crush your body, but the one you cannot understand. True strength lies in understanding." Understanding. Kai suddenly realized something strange. Within that destructive energy beam just now, hidden deep inside the ultimate rage, he had sensed a pain, a heart-rending pain, not of a monster, but of something purer. The Hellhulk was not simply destroying, it was screaming in agony. A crazy plan flashed in Key's mind. Instead of using his sword to attack, he would use his own soul. He stood up, no longer summoning strength to attack, but focusing all the spiritual energy of the ancient Guardian bloodline. He closed his eyes, meditating amidst the chaotic scene, launching his consciousness like an arrow, not at that colossal body, but straight into the blazing red energy mass, the center of the fury. Kai's consciousness plunged into a storm. It was the inner world of the Hellhulk, a churning ocean of fiery hatred and tears. Millions of screams, billions of horrific images swirled around his consciousness, trying to crush it. Key felt his soul about to dissolve, but he still tried to hold on, using stillness and compassion as an anchor in the chaotic sea. And then, at the bottom of that ocean of rage, he touched it, the core of the Hellhulk. It was not a pitch-black monster heart, but a bright gem covered by countless jet-black chains. That gem emitted a warm light, weak but full of resilience. It was the only thing that did not belong here. Key touched the gem. A flood of memories rushed in, so powerful it nearly drowned him completely. He was no longer Key. He was a creator, a guardian deity of a verdant world, overflowing with life and laughter. He loved that world, his children, every blade of grass, every river. He was the protector, the father, the mother of an entire civilization. But then, a dark force from outside the universe descended. A brutal war took place. And in the final moments, when everything he loved was being torn apart before his eyes, his children did not call for him to protect them. They were afraid. They cursed him for being powerless. "What kind of guardian deity are you? Useless. We curse you." The curse of his beloved children, along with the ultimate pain of helplessness and betrayal, turned the benevolent deity into a monster. He imprisoned himself in fury so the pain would not kill him, and he destroyed, because destruction was the only way to drown out the screams inside. The rage of the Hellhulk was not malice. It was the cry of a father who had lost everything. Key withdrew his consciousness, 2 streams of tears rolling down his cheeks. He understood. This was not a monster to be destroyed. This was a soul that needed to be freed. At that moment, the Hellhulk realized the recent intrusion. Its rage reached its peak. It considered Key as the one who had touched its most painful secret. Its entire body blazed fiercely, the temperature rising to the point of incinerating the surrounding space. It roared for the first time, a sound so terrible it shattered all the remaining barriers of hell. It swung both giant fists, aiming straight down at Key with the intent to annihilate him completely. But she did not dodge. He stood there, laying down the sword lit the light. Instead, he opened his arms wide, his entire body emitting a gentle golden light, warm like the spring sun. It was not fighting strength, but the strength of empathy, of absolute compassion. He looked straight into the energy mass crashing down, and with all his soul, he sent a wordless message. It was not a plea nor a challenge. It was a comfort. He sent into the mind of the Hellhulk the image of its own beautiful world of long ago. The green fields, the sparkling cities, the laughter of children. No fear, no curses, only love and gratitude. He showed the suffering guardian deity another truth. Not all of them cursed you. In the final moments, many of your children prayed for you, wished for your peace. You did everything you could. You were not powerless. Please forgive yourself. The two colossal fists of the Hell Hulk halted in midair, just meters away from Ki. The storm of chaotic energy suddenly stopped blowing. Absolute silence reigned. The real battle had only just begun, the battle between love and hatred, between forgiveness and suffering, right inside the soul of the Hell Hulk. He stood still, holding firm his light, not to overwhelm, but to illuminate the way. He accepted the risk. With just a little more hatred, the Hell Hulk would crush him. But he believed in the goodness still remaining in any soul. And then, a miracle happened. From the center of the blazing red energy mass, a crack appeared. A pure white light, identical to the gem Ki had seen in the consciousness, began to glow. The crack widened, and the jet-black chains covering the Hell Hulk's body began to crumble into ash. The rage that had lasted millions of years was dissipating. It was not destruction, but liberation. The colossal, dark form began to collapse, not violently, but gently, like snow melting under the sun. The face of a supreme being, benevolent and anguished, revealed itself beneath the monster mask. It looked at Ki, not speaking a word, but in those eyes was an ocean of gratitude. "Thank you, my child." A voice echoed throughout space, not by sound, but by the vibration of the soul. "You have fought enough," Ki said softly, tears still streaming down. "Now it is time for you to rest." The deity smiled, a smile of liberation after millions of years imprisoned in its own hell. Its colossal form dissolved into billions of sparkling points of light, rising up, piercing through the ruined layers of hell, through space and time, returning to the void, or perhaps to a new beginning. Where it once stood, now there was only a silent void, and a small, sparkling gem. It was the final gift, the essence of a deity, something the rage could not tarnish. Kai bent down, picked up the gem. It was warm in his palm. Hell was saved. The human world was also saved, not by a sword strike, but by an embrace. This was the greatest victory of his life. A victory without an enemy, without bloodshed in the final moments. Only redemption. Kai placed the gem into his shirt pocket, closest to his heart, then walked toward the spatial gate that was slowly closing. He knew he would never forget this story, about the monster that even hell itself feared, and about the pain that had created it. And he silently promised to tell this story to all those who still believed that destruction was the ultimate power, because sometimes the greatest victory comes from the heart, not from the fist. The spatial gate closed behind Ki with a resonant groan, as if hell itself was sighing in relief after a nightmare that had lasted for millennia. He stood on the snow-covered mountain peak, where everything had begun, but everything seemed different. The thin air of the high altitude no longer made him feel cold, for the warmth from the gem in his shirt pocket was spreading throughout his body, like a gentle whisper from a distant past. He placed his hand on his chest, feeling the slow beat of his heart merging with the soft pulse of the gem. It was no longer an inanimate object, but a witness to the most brutal battle he had ever experienced, a battle not to destroy, but to redeem. He sat down beside the familiar rock, where just hours ago he had been meditating in peace, and realized that the flow of time in hell and the human world operated differently. What had transpired in the abyss seemed to last for centuries, but here, the sun had yet to set behind the western mountain range. The last rays of sunlight gilded the entire sky, and Ki suddenly realized he was crying. Not tears of pain, but the release of a soul that had just experienced something far too sacred. He had seen the pain of a god. He had touched the deepest wound of creation, and he had witnessed how forgiveness could heal even wounds thought to be eternal. "Who are you?" The voice came from behind, making Ki startle and turn around. An old man with a beard as white as snow, wearing the simple clothing of a mountain dweller, stood leaning on a wooden staff. His eyes were strangely bright, containing a sharpness that made Ki immediately realize this was no ordinary person. "I am Ki," he replied, his voice still hoarse from what he had endured. The old man stepped closer, his eyes not leaving the shirt pocket where the gem was emitting a gentle light through the fabric. "You have just returned from hell," he said, not a question. "And you carry something that does not belong to this world." Ki did not answer immediately. He observed the old man, sensing a familiar energy, but one he could not name. "Who are you?" The old man smiled, the smile of one who had lived for thousands of years. "I am merely a keeper of stories. And your story, young warrior, is one of the greatest I have ever witnessed. You were watching? All of us were watching," the old man said, then waved his hand toward the night sky that was slowly descending. The stars began to twinkle, but he noticed they twinkled unusually, as if paying attention to their conversation. The ancient gods, the creators, all of them were watching you. Do you know that you have just done what none of us dared to do in the past 100,000 years? He fell silent. 100,000 years. The time that the Hell Hulk, or rather, that suffering guardian deity, had been imprisoned in its own rage. Why did no one do anything? His voice was filled with a deep sorrow. Why did everyone just stand by and watch a soul suffer like that? The old man sighed, sitting down beside Ki. Because of fear, my child. The gods also know fear. They feared that if they intervened, that rage would spread to them as well. They feared that the pain of their own kind would drown them, and above all, they feared facing the truth that even supreme beings can fall, can be hurt so deeply that they become the very thing they hate. But that is exactly when they need help the most, Ki said, his hand tightening around the gem in his pocket. Yes, the old man nodded, and that is why you accomplished what the gods could not. Not because you are stronger than them, but because you dared to face the pain of another without fear. You did not seek to destroy the pain, but sought to understand it. That is a strength no god possesses, the strength of pure compassion. They sat there, on the snow-covered mountain peak, under a starry sky that twinkled like millions of watching eyes. The old man began to speak, and Ki listened, every word etched deep into his heart. The god you just freed, he had a name before he became the Hell Hulk. He was Ethel, the architect of the world of Illyria. Illyria was unlike any other world in this universe. It was a planet where life and death were not opposites, but coexisted in an eternal cycle. Trees could converse with humans, rivers knew how to sing ancient songs. And the children of Ethel, they were not creatures he created, but shards of his own soul, separated and given form. He closed his eyes, and immediately, the images from Ethel's memory that he had touched in hell came rushing back. But this time, they were clearer, more detailed, as if the gem in his hand was whispering its own story. He saw Illyria in its most glorious era. Cities built from crystal and light, floating among layers of purple clouds. The children of Ethel, entities that were part human, part spirit, part of the god himself, living in peace and happiness. They loved Ethel like a father, and Ethel loved them like his own heart. But then, what happened? Ki asked, though he already knew part of the answer. The nameless darkness, the old man said, his voice deepening. An entity without origin, without form, without any purpose, other than to devour all forms of life. It was not a demon, not a deity, not anything that this universe could define. It was simply nothingness. And it found Illyria. In Ki's mind, the beautiful images were suddenly torn apart by a colossal black shadow. It had no fixed shape, constantly shifting, like a giant oil slick spreading across the sky. It did not attack, did not destroy, it simply absorbed. The crystal cities vanished into it. The children of Ethel, when touched by the darkness, did not die, but became nothingness, no longer existing, no memory, nothing at all. Ethel fought, the old man continued. He fought with all the strength of a creator. But how could he fight something that did not exist? Every attack of his passed through the darkness as if through air. Every shield he created was devoured by the nothingness. And as he was desperately trying to protect his children, they began to die, one by one, disappearing into the endless darkness. Ki felt his chest tighten. He could feel Ethel's helplessness, the heart-rending pain of watching his children vanish while unable to do anything. But the worst was yet to come. And then, the old man said, his voice trembling, the last of his children, in their ultimate fear and despair, turned to curse the very father who had created them. They did not understand that Ethel was also powerless. They only knew that they were about to die, and the god they worshipped had failed to save them. Useless. Why won't you save us? We curse you, Ethel. We curse you for all eternity. Those curses, uttered by his own beloved children, became the only weapon that could wound a god. They did not kill Ethel, but they broke him. In the final moment, as the darkness devoured the last of his children, Ethel was no longer a god. The pain, the resentment, the feeling of betrayal, and above all, the self-loathing, all of those emotions transformed him into the Hell Hulk. He imprisoned himself in rage, because rage was the only thing that could drown out his own cries, and he destroyed everything in his path, Kai whispered. It was the only way he could survive, the old man said. Each time he destroyed something, the pain in him eased a little, but then it would return, many times stronger, and so he would continue destroying, a vicious cycle with no end, until you appeared. He opened his eyes. The stars in the sky seemed to be weeping, sparkling with tears of light. He took the gem from his shirt pocket, placing it on his palm. Under the starlight, it emitted an unexpectedly tender glow, like a thank you that could not be spoken. "This gem," Key asked, "what is it?" "That is the last tear of Ethel," the old man answered, "the tear he could not shed for 100,000 years. When you showed him that not all of his children cursed him, when you showed him that there were still souls grateful to him for trying his best, that was when he could finally cry, and that tear is his liberation." Key looked at the gem, and he suddenly understood. His victory was not the defeat of the Hell Hulk. His victory was allowing Ethel to cry, to grieve, to forgive himself, after 100,000 years of self-torment. Many years later, when Kai had become a legend, when his name was spoken in the songs of both heaven and hell, people still often asked each other, what was his greatest feat? Some said it was the time he single-handedly fought an army of 10,000 demons. Some said it was when he sealed the Demon King of Destruction. But those who truly understood him, those who had stood by his side in the darkest moments, they all knew the answer. Key's greatest feat was not a battle. It was the moment he laid down his sword, opened his arms wide, and embraced the pain of a fallen god. It was when he proved that strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the ability to heal. And it was when he taught this universe a lesson that sometimes, to win, you do not need to defeat anyone. Sometimes, you just need to show them that they are not alone in their pain. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Thank you all very much.